What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Stoked Podcast. I am Javon Stokes, writer, artist, general creative person. To my left. This is actually my left. My left, you guys right. Is writer, teacher, Jamari Stokes. And this is, like I said, this is episode 22 of a Stoked podcast, and I cannot believe we have done 22 or so weeks of this. Like when we started this, I was actually I wasn't sure how we were going to make it this far, but we did. So
it works out. It has definitely been something it's been an experience. I've enjoyed it.
Yes. Please feel free to chat in the chat section. Say hi. We answer all questions. Today we're gonna have a great guest as soon as he gets on. I know he's preoccupied. I won't put his business out there, but I know he's preoccupied and he's gonna get on when he can. So we're just gonna vamp a bit. Yeah. So yes, 22 episodes. I'm really proud of where we are now. It's a lot. It's more work than folks would be surprised to hear. Between scheduling and actually right there, the show has a script. Oh, there he's here. So we're not going to keep him off long. We're not going to keep him long. Let me bring you in, bruh. Let me bring you in. So if everyone will bear with me. Our next guest is another part of our esteemed independent comic book creative fraternity. He's an award-winning writer of multiple titles, including Justice and Nightfall. A very unique voice amongst the creative community, he's one of the visionary minds behind the comic company Wingless Entertainment. Let's give a Stoked podcast round of applause to Brian Lambert.
What's going on, gentlemen? Can you hear me? Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Right. I apologize for being late, man. Restream had me going 5, 6, 7 places, and I was not prepared. I'll be honest with you. It's changed. The layout's changed, so I was a little.
They make it really complex.
The Restream multiverse of madness.
Right. That's what I was like. Yo, just give me the dark hole. Run me that.
I know, man.
Yeah, man. It was.
Welcome. It don't matter when you get here, as long as you get here.
Thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.
We're gonna put you over here. There we go. Okay. Let's get you on first. So, welcome to a Stoked podcast. I'm happy to get you on because this is the first time we've spoken because you haven't been on top 5, right?
Yeah, well, because Danny's a hater. But I'm always in the comments, right? Like I'm always in there, like, yo,
you are
Danny, get me on, blah blah blah, or I'll say some stuff. But yeah, this is the first time
I've seen
Danny don't control that though. You need to be yelling at Morgan.
Oh man, Morgan don't listen to me no matter, bro. I could say 2 + 2 is 4, right? And Morgan's gonna be like, nah, because sometimes you got imaginary numbers, bro. I'm not doing algebra, bro. I'm just literally. It's 4 of them here because I had 2 2s, bro. Like.
You just explained my life. You just explained my life with those gentlemen. But this ain't about them. This ain't about top 5. Tonight is about Brian M.F. and Lambert. So yes, welcome. So you've seen the. I'm sure you've seen the show a little bit. We do a little bit of interview. Get to know you a little bit. Let everybody get to know you. You get to talk about your projects, talk about your journey, and then we usually wing it from there.
Man, fire them off. I'm all about it.
All right, so here we go. As always, whenever I bring somebody on who functions within the comic book industry and like I said, the fraternity, I always start with where did your love of comics begin?
I'm a big, and I feel like it's reflected in Wingless Comics and my work personally. I'm a huge late 80s, 90s fan. So I'm an 80s baby, right? So I grew up with Super Friends, and when they had the old school Super Powers toys and all of that. When Marvel was still number 2, a legitimate number 2 to DC's number 1. But that Jim Lee, man, that X-Men Mutant Genesis run, and I mention it on every podcast I get a chance to, right? That Mutant Genesis run bro, I have the trade paperback, and that's literally on my desk when I'm writing. If I have a problem or a question, or I don't know how I'm gonna format this panel or whatever else, I don't go to anything else, bro. I don't go to Lambert for letters. I don't go to any of the encyclopedic knowledge that you can get online now. I flip over Mutant Genesis. Yeah, man. I look at that. How did they structure? I think for me, again, man, it was like mind blowing at the time because we had seen Avengers was having a good run at that point. X-Men obviously was having a good run, and that's why they not what we would call a good run now, but it was a good run for the time. X-Men was doing the heavy lifting, and that's why they got a secondary title. And it was just, like I said, man, there's a panel that I still love that I still want to do, and it's like page 4 or 5, and he's when it's Magneto, and he's like, I am Magneto. He's just like blown up 2 spaceships, and he's just out there. And
he's hovering in space, and
yeah. That just looks so clean.
I got it on. I got that trade too. I got it. It's on my.
That's what I'm. Right. That era was so dope, and then those guys broke off into Image, which again at the time, by now I'm 12, 13, 14, whatever. And that was the first time that I thought like, oh man, I could, of course, me and my friends got together. We're going to send something to Image and we're going to do a comic right at 13. We never did. But it was the opportunity to really be like, oh man, we can do this outside of like these huge companies. Cause I didn't know it was even at that point, the internet didn't exist. Right, so it's not like you could just hit up somebody and be like, oh, you want to publish this for me? You didn't even know where to start. Right. So that era really opened up stuff, and Image did a lot of really, really good things. And Image did a lot of things that I was like, oh, all you need is flashy art, but not good story, right? But then that over time that showed what it came of. So I've just always been fascinated with it. I've always loved that medium, and I've always loved again the late 80s where you could kind of get away and fall into cartoons and the whole imagination behind it. You had, you could fall into comics and the whole imagination behind it and just create these whole completely different worlds. And the rest is history, as they say,
Yeah, I feel you. You and I are very similar. I'm an 80s, 90s baby. So, it was that must be Danny. This has got to be Danny. Is that the Brian? That's probably Danny.
Yeah, right.
I grew up around the same time. Like Image was the same. Actually, before, which came out first? No, it was Image. Image was big for me. Like I was with you. I was buying Cyberforce and Wildcat,
bro.
And Spawn,
seriously,
and Youngblood. I was a huge Youngblood fan. When I think back on it, it's like, man, everything Rob Liefeld put out, I bought. I bought Youngblood. I bought Team Youngblood. I brought New Men. I bought Bloodpool. I bought everything.
I went and got the Youngblood Strike File book, bro. It took
I
me
got
10
that too.
years to find that again.
Oh man, I bought that at the time, bro. I got that in my basement somewhere.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there was such an imagination at that time for me that was like dope. I wanted to. Well, I didn't have the money like that, right? So I wanted to be into Youngblood more than I was, but I was a real big Cyberforce guy. Rip Claw and all his stuff, and having him cross over with different people. It was just so dope, man. And Spawn, obviously, which did some great and different things. And again, if people are reading Wingless Comics, they can definitely see how I take not direction from it necessarily, but a lot of inspiration for tone and kind of setting from that era.
Image was very much like, it was a nuclear bomb, number one, to the industry, but it was also like there were independent comics around, and I was aware of them, like ElfQuest and Bone, and I was aware of them. Even at my age at that time, I was aware. I was what, 15, 16 when Image came out, maybe 14, 15 when Image came out. But it wasn't like it was just, hey man, you either if you're not doing Marvel or DC, the J's for that's definitely Danny. But I thought that for me, Marvel was it was like, okay, when they did Image, it was like, wait a minute, I can publish, and I had to be with Marvel and DC. Like, I'm with you. Like that was when like the moment where I felt like I could do this. And like for me, Milestone like took it to another level.
Milestone, I have such a, and it's not love and hate, right? But it's like maybe love and pain, only because Milestone, we were a couple years older with Milestone, right? It's like another 1 or 2 years when it really
It was only
hit.
like a year. No, it was only like a year or so after. It really, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because they were trying to get the Image deal too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so when Milestone hit, and you know, even before the Static Shock cartoon, right? When I'm just reading the Static comics and on and on and on, Milestone was the one that was like, I no longer wanted to work for DC and Marvel. Like I still did, right? But I was like, oh man, I can go work for Milestone. And in my mind, I was like, they're gonna love my characters, right?
Yeah.
Because it fits in with their world and how they look and blah blah blah. And so, like I said, it's like a love and pain relationship, because by the time, I don't know, 18, 19, where I could probably realistically have done something in that form, they were gone. You know what I mean? They were folding into DC, and that was hard for me as a creator, because so around all those times, right? You had Milestone kind of fold into DC. You had Image start folding a lot of their titles into DC as well. Yeah. And so a lot of that Rockstar, we're on top of the world stuff. It kind of paralleled to me. It kind of paralleled like that Black Excellence, you know, era of rap, where it was like, man, X-Clan hit the scene, and then you had Cube doing some. You had all these like, oh man, these positive, you know, Black role models in rap, and all these just different variations of what was going on, and then very quickly they all got folded into one specific thing, and so it kind of, I don't know that it necessarily diminished the artistry, but I feel like it diminished some of the people that were on the periphery that were like, oh man, this is something I want to get into, this specific type, and that type kind of went away.
Yeah, I had never thought about it that way. That parallel, that's real interesting. Brian, are you still at work?
I can neither confirm nor deny that I only wear suits at work. So, you know, leave me alone. That's got to be Danny. It's got to be Danny.
It's always Danny, man. Danny's that dude, man. Hey, by the way, what's up, Ryan? What's up, Kenji? Jamari, you got a question before I go
on? I got a comment and a question. First off, you guys, this is like maybe the second or third time Image has come up, and for me, Image was always Gen 13 and Shadowhawk. Like those are the characters that got me following that stuff. So those are that's what I remember from that era. I remember them hitting the scene, and that for a while, like that was the only thing me and my friends, when we did read comic books, those were the only things we were looking at. We really weren't looking at Marvel and everything. The other thing is, you mentioned a couple of things that seem to be part of your influence. I want to know what those 90s, those 80s and 90s cartoons and things of that nature that stuck with you, the things that have, you know, inspired you to this day.
So I'm gonna name a couple, right? But
right,
damn near any 80s cartoon. Okay, so like Silverhawks, Thundercats, He-Man, Heathcliff, Real Ghostbusters,
Heathcliff.
The other Ghostbusters.
Dude, I remember, I loved Heathcliff, dude.
Bro, right,
yeah.
Right. So
Heathcliff was a scrapper.
So I remember there was an episode, and people can watch it now. It's on Tubi, right? But me and my brother were at the house, right? We're young. I can't be more than 9 or 10 years old.
That's 90s though.
Yes, Bionic 6.
Bionic 6 is 90s though.
I feel like that was still that same era though, right? Like there was
that was like 94, 95.
Yeah, but remember that was the same time as Silverhawks though, right? Which was a holdover. I watched them in the morning together, right?
Yeah, it was like on the border. Yeah.
So there was an episode of Transformers.
Oh, I got something for you. I
remember this my whole life.
87.
Whoa.
Yeah. Bionic 6 was hard, man. Look at that animation.
I know.
Transformers, at one episode in like season 3 or whatever, Optimus Prime comes back and he beats the brakes off of Rodimus Prime. Right. And I remember that from being a kid, because I only saw it one time. Like as a child, we were leaving the house. Mom was like, yo, we got to go because we got to go for school. And we see Optimus Prime beating up Rodimus Prime. I definitely took a whooping for that because I was not leaving the TV, right? But like moments like that stuck in my head. That moment when Optimus Prime dies in the movie, in the Transformers movie, the He-Man and She-Ra movie, that was an event, right? When it happened. The Voltron movie, when you have both of those happening, Robotech. I didn't get into
that
Gundam
was
until
a
way
fever
later.
dream when I first saw that with the Voltron, the combined Voltron story.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, this exists? And then when I finally found it as an adult, I was like, okay, so I wasn't dreaming this. This was a real thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
that era
was a golden era.
Yeah, like I keep telling people, for me, I call that era the Saturday morning cereal and blanket. Like when I would just literally get up, run downstairs with my blanket and a pillow, get some cereal, and I'm watching TV from 5:30 in the morning when what's his name, Bob, the painter, was doing it at that early.
For me, is when Soul
and
Train.
then when you end it. No, you ended. It always ended for me with NBA stuff.
NBA inside stuff.
NBA inside stuff.
Or CBS Story Break.
Okay.
So it ended for me on one of two things. It was either it's not Casey Kasem, but it was the dude on he was Channel 5. He used to run the movies. He used to run the movies on God, I can't remember his name.
I know what
but
you're
he used to run them on the old reel, or it was Kung Fu movies used to come on like Channel 9 or whatever, right?
That would be on.
And then I still wouldn't get up. Like that was like bathroom break time, right? And then Kung Fu movies all day.
Yeah. No, I would, because I loved how like they would transition from the cartoons into like Saved by the Bell, and then California Dreams, and then City Guys, and what was the other one? It was a basketball Hang Time. I never liked Hang Time, but I watched it. I never liked Hang Time. Hang Time was trash. But
I used to go away from that, and then I would I used to turn on like Gilligan's Island, because then my mom would know what time it was, low key, and she would go make us lunch. You know what I mean? Because she knew the Gilligan's Island theme song, and so I tried to play the little game. She was hip to it. She knew, but yeah.
Nah, that era ended for me when I became 7 Adventist, because then I had to go to church. But it was already at the time where it was kind of like it was ending.
In the decline,
like
right?
Cartoon Network had come along, all that stuff, like the stuff. But then it was weird, because then it was like it almost transitioned from like Saturday to Sunday.
And then also you had the weekday transition though too, with the Disney afternoon and them taking over those big,
Disney had a
2-4 hour
block, and that on the afternoon, and they dominated for a long time with that.
So I'm gonna pull us back on. I'm gonna pull us back on track, because we could talk about cartoons all day. Lord knows I love them, because I haven't even talked about all my Sunday cartoons. Lord have mercy.
That's what I'm saying.
So how did you go from like a fan of comics to being a professional?
I think that a lot of us have a similar journey, and obviously in our current age, right? I feel like it's like a lot easier. When I was 19, 20, 21, again, the internet wasn't what it was now, right? We were still struggling for downloads on Napster and Kazaa and whatever else, right? But now, with the click of a button, we can really hit somebody up like, hey, do you want to do some art? So a few years back, I started with novels. My first published thing, my first published thing is a poem. I started with poetry, and I did that for a little while, very sparse. And then I published my first novel. And once I learned self-publishing, like that was really what opened the door, in terms of like, oh, you can actually do 99% of this yourself. Like you can't do, sometimes the distribution portion is harder, but you can do all of the work yourself. And so once I found that, and Facebook and the algorithms were much easier on groups. I think that's a lot of us linked up through groups, right? Somebody would put up a post, and we were all in the same groups, even 5, 6, 7 of them, right? And we would just go from post to post to post, and all, giving all our opinions and whatever else. And that made it easy, because then you found out who the artists were, you found out who the writers were, you found out all that stuff. And one of the it was a couple people I met first. Lonzo from Concrete Comics is somebody who I linked up with, just through comments and stuff like that. And he was starting his imprint. I had already started doing some work with some other people behind the scenes, and it just kind of at that point it naturally progressed, because it was something I really wanted to do. Also, I have a degree in creative writing, and so one of one of the pieces of getting that degree was doing like a comic lettering, sample and some writing. Judicious. Oh, now you know it's Danny. It can't be nobody else.
Dude, I knew it was Danny the first time I saw it.
I
knew
can't
it was
be.
Danny.
That's the preacher coming out of him. So like I said, it just kind of went organically. It was something, again, I always wanted to do, but in the 90s, again, there was no path for us, right? What are you going to do? Writing letters to Stan Lee, or you know what I mean? Like there was no. Famously, the Wachowskis were like, "Oh yeah, we wrote a comic book, and that's kind of what put us on." And then we did The Matrix. We didn't have that same avenue. We didn't have like, "Oh, we just gonna write a comic book, and that's gonna put us on," which puts us on like that for. Our community just didn't have that. Now we somewhat do, right? And we can take that power ourselves, which is great, and that's what led me kind of to where I am now.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody on Twitter, was it either today or yesterday, they were like, if you were giving advice to somebody about breaking into the industry right now, what would you tell them? I was like, make a book. That's the easiest thing. Like it's never been easier to get in the comic book industry. Like absolutely, it is so. You have no excuse nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like people come up to me in the industry. People come up to me at Comic Cons, and they're always telling me, "All right, Danny, I'm gonna ignore you in a second." He said he wants to know what the J is for.
It's actually my middle name, obviously. My middle name is Joseph. I was named after my grandfather, who passed when I was 1 year old. And he was, patriarch of our family. And there you have it. It's not like a huge, amazing story. I don't have anything really cool.
Are you happy, Danny? You changed the whole tone of the show. Thank you.
No, I did that on purpose. Sucks to be you, Danny. Right? Take that.
But yeah, like, you get a lot of guys that are like, well, how do I get started? And I'm like, dude, just do it. Like, you literally can make a book and just go to Comic Cons and just sell your book. Like, that's all you have to do. So it's good to hear, like, you saw the opportunity and you were like, and you just went for it, because a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people are all talk. And there are a lot
I think
of
sometimes there's a right. I feel like I know we know our share of. I shouldn't even say I, right? We know our people. But at the same time, I think there's a little bit of comfort in talking. And I don't agree with it. But I think that people feel comforted when they're talking about what they're going to do, as opposed to having this look. We've done Kickstarter campaigns, right? And you have to stare that fear in the face. Am I going to make it? Am I not? Are people going to like me? Are they not? When I give my opinion on this post, right? Now my opinion is not coming from just like some guy. It's coming from, creator, wingless, right, blah, blah, blah. So how are people going to feel about it? How are they going to react? And so sometimes it's easier to be like, oh yeah, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. I know a guy he's been coming soon for 5 years. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, is it going to happen or not? Just do it. Yeah. Because the worst people can say is no. And if you're not putting it out, they're already saying no because it's not there. It doesn't exist. So screw it. Do it well. Don't just do it, because there are people who just do it and then they expect you to love it, even though it's true. Like it's bad. It's poorly put together. Like and they still want. Oh, you should love it just because I did it. No, do it well.
Like, nah, man. Money is money, dude. People put their money behind stuff that they like. Like
exactly.
Your family might buy it, but they just giving you money. They ain't even really buying your book if it ain't
exactly. And that only lasts in this comic industry. That only lasts so long. Your family will show up. They definitely gonna show up on that first one, right? But I'm 8 comic books in 2 years. 8 Kickstarter campaigns in 2 years. They show up for the first one. What's going on, Lori? Lori is great. She's been an amazing mentor. Super is coming back, which I'm super happy about. Super is super dope. See what I did there? One of the first independent comics. Super and Tuskegee Eras were the first 2 independent comics of this new era that I got, and neither one of them disappointed. Shouts out to Greg Burnham as well. But
Greg, come on the show, Greg. Come on now. I'm tired of asking you. I only asked him one time. Greg is. We got a question for the guest. We got a question for the guest. It's probably from Danny. But what keeps you excited about making comics?
That's a hard question, right? Because I don't want to appear as though I'm always excited for comics. I'm not. If you had talked to me 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do it. I'm gonna just play PlayStation and go to work, right? Like, and that was at the end of a successful campaign. Like, I just had success, and I was like, I'm tired of this. But I stay in comics because I love telling stories. I am not funded well enough to be in a complete visual medium in terms of like cartoons or even movies. And if I had the opportunity to do those, I would do those as well. For the moment, I'm in a serialized format where I can perpetually do this forever, right? One comic pays for the next comic, which pays for the next comic, which pays for the next comic. So even if I'm not making, a lot of people get into this game and they want like, oh, I want to make super duper profit. And some people even be 10K, you know what I mean? Or do whatever they do. That's not always sustainable. What needs to be sustainable are the stories you tell. So being able to do comics and do a story in 22 pages lets me continue to tell whatever story I want to tell. And that's what keeps me in comics, telling the stories, and seeing people light up when they read it. Or when someone finally gets to the end of Nightfall, which we'll get to backers really, really soon. We're still finishing up the colors. Seeing people's responses.
I'm trying to find out why Heat wasn't in Nightfall. You know, I'm just
so I'm just it makes me
I ain't want to put you on the spot like that, but
makes me look bad. But at the same time, I remember Heat saying something about a cameo way later, like super late. Like it was like issue 5, man, and I had already had him by then. Like issue 4 and 5 were coming out, and I was like, well, I didn't even know about issue 1. It's full.
No, I got you. Oh, well, sorry. I'm gonna be.
Then I should be like, wait a minute. Why don't you know about issue 1? Why don't you know about issue 1 of Nightfall?
But you know what? Though, I'll say this. I'm going to answer the question too, but I think it's the wrong word, because excitement is fleeting, right?
Thank you.
I think
yes.
Motivated is the right word. And I know for me, it's just maniacal at this point. My love for comics, I have to do it. Like if you told me right now that I couldn't do it, if you said, Javon, you cannot make a comic book, like you can't do it, I would probably get depressed and be angry and a whole bunch of negative type of emotions because I love it so much. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like like you said, I love when somebody reads the book, like they buy the book at Comic-Con and they come back on a Friday and they come back on a Saturday and they're like, yo, I got to get some more, you know, like that's happened a few times. Like that, like literally keeps me like, it's almost like I put that in the back of my mind. So the days where I just don't have it or I don't feel like I have it, I'll pull that feeling out and I'm like, I got to do it for that dude. If nobody else, I'm gonna do it for that dude. But yeah.
I can't give up the storytelling part of it. And so I agree with you. And that was what I wanted to say, right? Like excitement is fleeting. And that's why I feel like a lot of us have these high highs and these low lows, depending on what's going on. We feed off of energy. So it's great to be able to, I would never give up storytelling. I've done it in a bunch of different forms. This is currently my favorite, because I get to see exactly what I want to see on the page. And everybody sees exactly what I want to see, as opposed to noveling, right? Or prose. Someone may see it a different way than you do, but now here I get to show you, no, this is what I'm talking about.
Hey, listen, I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna reveal something Heat based, no pun intended. I literally had no idea I'd have so many puns from my title. I'm gonna reveal something next week about Heat on this show. All right, so that's my tease. I can't give it to y'all now, but you're gonna get a big reveal. But Jamari, do you want to? You got a question before I go?
Yeah. So Brian, you talked about earlier that you kind of noticed that once you started getting into doing your own work, what you started to say and what you posted out on social media, that meant something different. So how would you say that social media has affected you working with comics in the community, and what has your approach changed since you started?
Okay, so my approach to social media has changed, period, just because I grew up a little bit. And so I don't put them emo posts no more. Hey girls, nice single guy wanting to hook. Like, bro, I was 20. All right, I didn't know any better. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. But I think that there's a social responsibility, but also social media has made me hate like everybody, because there are so many bad takes, right? And I don't mind. Look, Morgan, for example, Morgan and I got on and we debated a certain point. It was like 2 hours, man, and I don't have a problem with that, right? If there's some logic to it, on and on and on. Even if I'm frustrated because I'm like, you're not getting it, right? Like, but social media has validated everyone's opinion. And that is a fallacy of opinion sometimes. If I'm talking to the top 5 writers and they're like, hey, this is a writing thing that is accepted as a rule. It's great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, it's not. Because, Killer Man 22 on Reddit said it's not. Bro, I'm talking to the top 5 people that do this. Like, so, or people also think that like, just because something is bad, you don't have to like it. I grew up in the 80s. Tons of bad movies in the 80s. Some of the ones I love the most, some of them that were the best. Goonies is a bad movie, right? I love Goonies. I've seen Goonies in the theater. I got the DVD. I got the Blu-ray. I got the VHS. Every way you can see Goonies, I've seen it.
Tango and Cash.
Right? They're not good movies, but they are so great, though, right? Yeah. But people think that you have to hate things now if you don't like what it did in a certain place.
The absolute best quality thing, it is automatically terrible.
Yeah. And then nothing is the automatic best quality thing. So everything at that point is terrible, right? But then that same person who's like, oh my God, I hate The Force Awakens, right? Which is, controversial or whatever. I hate The Force Awakens. But now all of a sudden you love the prequels. You hated the prequels when they came out. Stop it, right? Like you talk mess and now you want to be like, this new one is, stop. And you can have objective opinion. That's another thing. Objective opinions, people hide their prejudices and their bigotry behind opinions. Very seldom are the opinions of like hate or not someone not liking something objective opinions. Like I objectively don't like this based on blah 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 blah, right? Force Awakens again. I had a problem with Force Awakens. I was like, I wouldn't have been mad if she had beat Kylo Ren with pure force power, right? If she did like the Phoenix basically, and her force power is through the roof, and she throws him across the planet because of that, I'm cool with that because that's not something you're gonna know. She beat him in a sword fight. I don't like that because he had to train to be a master swordsman for X amount of time, and she didn't have the same training, right? So that's a difference in like, oh, I didn't like this story element as opposed to saying this whole thing was bad. The other part of that is I think that especially as a Black creator, there is a level of responsibility that I should carry. There are issues, obviously, especially in the last week. In the last week, every issue that's what? I've never heard of rights being taken away, but don't get me started, right? But there's an amount of responsibility we have to speak on certain things and also to be silent on certain things. And I take that responsibility very seriously in terms of I will, Javon has seen it. There have been a couple times where you may not see me comment on anything for a week, and then something happens, and you're gonna have a book from me, right? Because those are the times you need to step up and step forward. And if you have this group of people following you, and they know you as that writer, that author, or the head of Wingless, or this person that does this thing, you have a responsibility to uphold that piece of you, and not to their standards, but to your own standards of saying, hey, this is my line, my yay is my yay, my nay is my nay. And that is something that I'm very definitive on in social media. And it's put me at odds with quite a few people. I don't care, because if you can stand in your integrity and do what you're supposed to do, then that's all you're supposed to do. And the rest of it is dollars and cents, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I always think it's really interesting, like you said that, because when you start actually like, having a product to sell to people, and then you have a following, it's almost, I didn't think about it until it started happening. Like there was a moment where I was like, man, do I post this? Because it might piss off like a reader, like, you know what I mean? And they might not read it, and then, but then I kind of reached a point where I was like, you know what, dude, like if I say, Trump is trash, and this reader, because I did have a reader, I had a fan of, there's an actual fan of Heat, who is very much a Trumper. And like I posted something about Trump, and they and I went back and forth, and you know, like, I mean, it wasn't like angry, but it was like, hey man, like, this is, you know, but you know what, at the end of the conversation he was like, well, you know, I can't wait for that next heat to drop. And I was like, okay, all right, so I don't have to change nothing. I'm just gonna do. So I'm with you on there. I'm glad you brought up Wingless. That's a great segue. Appreciate it. Appreciate the segue. So tell us about the start of Wingless. Tell us what's the brand, like, tell us your brand, and tell us, you know, about your products and your projects.
So Wingless Entertainment is the parent company. Wingless Entertainment is something that's always been in the back of my mind. Even before I started doing comics, my novel is published under Wingless Entertainment. I'm owner, operator, creator, blah, 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 right? Like, I hate those titles sometimes because it kind of lessens the work that we do. Even though I own it, Wingless Comics is a ground up established business at this point. I've had to do a lot of hard work to get it where it is, and I have a lot of really great people that work with me in Wingless Comics now, and I'm very fortunate for that. Again, Wingless Entertainment is really the entertainment group. So Wingless Entertainment is a multimedia company where we've been focusing, like, the last 2 years on comic books, but we are also invested in animation, video games, and a few other projects that we're working on, always invested in novels and that kind of a thing. So our Wingless Comics brand, which started approximately 2 years ago, is centered on what Malachi Bailey dubbed the Wingverse, which is the world that our heroes inhabit. Its flagship character is Justice, and Justice is an angel who comes down from heaven and very, very quickly realizes that the line between heaven and hell isn't black and white. We've always been told this story of the war in heaven, and, you know, and good and evil being like absolutes. And Justice comes down to earth and really sees that no, everything that glitters isn't gold, and everything that we've been told is horrific or horrendous, maybe not, right? So he's there. His foil, his counterpart, his world's finest, you know, his kind of Batman is Caliburn, who is he's a demon bouncer, for lack of better words, and his face is hunting the darkness is my business, and business is good. And so, as you can see, like, he's getting chased by a hellhound. He's more of a horror type character, not full horror, still some action adventure in there, but they play off of each other really well. Malachi Bailey is the creator and author of Her, and number 1 will be hitting before the end of this year. He's already got 2 novels featuring her, and she's part of the Wingverse. She was also featured in Nightfall. Saber Initiative is going to launch. Immortalis, which is it's about the fall of Constantinople, which is the last Roman outpost, is going to launch in August. And that tells some of the backstory of the Wingless universe, and we start getting into the lore sides of it. Lore is going to be launching along with, actually, he's going to be shipping along with Justice number 3. And Lux is a teenage girl who finds out she has powers, and, you know, navigating the world of powers, high school, being a young black woman, all things. That one's written by my sister. Right now, it has the majority team is female, and when we go into the full issue 1, it's going to be an all-female team outside of, like, you know, executive editing by myself. So I'm really looking forward to that. Actually, Lori Foster is going to be the editor on that. So that's going to be really, really great, man. And yeah, again, I love that we get to tell stories that, like, no one else is. And that's not to say that other people aren't telling great stories, because there are so many great indie comics out there and so many great things. But being able to intertwine our world with a different kind of lore, and taking all these mythologies, Christian mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian, Yoruba, you know, Japanese, whatever, taking all these different mythologies and kind of mashing them up is super damn fun.
Well, I gotta say, like, I'm sorry, go Jamar.
Did I happen to catch a Cowboy Bebop influence cover up there?
Man, my man, you know, man. Okay, so yes, 100% yes, right?
Spike and Vicious.
Released, yeah, right. I released this cover a while ago,
Which
And I
one
had
is it?
actually a couple people inbox me. It's the one with Justice, and he's on his back,
The one with
basically.
4 different covers.
And, yeah, the
Not that one.
no. Well, you have it in yeah, it's like legit 4 different covers.
There it is, over in that
Top
upper
right
hand.
Yeah. So I released this cover, right, for Nightfall. It's one of the covers for Nightfall 4. I was super stoked about this cover. See what I did there? And it got released, and a couple people noticed, right, and mostly like my close friends. But then a lot of people were like, "Hey, what's that cover?" I had to tell so many people, like, "You don't know that's Cowboy." Like,
I don't know either.
I know Javon wouldn't have noticed that.
I was like, I felt like I did the cover wrong because I thought it was dope. Like when the idea came and the art came, I was like, this is gonna be the greatest cover in the universe. And
hey man, all that matters is that somebody caught it. Somebody caught it.
Yeah.
There's no question you're gonna look at that and somebody will notice.
Yeah.
So that was dope. I enjoyed. Like I'm liking the art and everything here. I'm seeing everything that I'm seeing with this. And I just couldn't help but notice that. It's like my brain will not allow that to go past.
I appreciate that, man.
We talk about this.
We can. I've got a lot.
When I saw it, I was like, did he get permission?
So, okay, my response would be, do I need permission? So, do you remember Spawn? No, do you remember Spawn number 10?
I do.
So, Spawn number 10, the hand, the wall,
with the hands in the wall.
Right. So, one, that part is an homage. That part in this comic is an homage to Spawn number 10. I've mentioned it like in my own lives and blah blah blah. So it's an homage to Spawn number 10. So Spawn in number 10 talks to a super, and then like underscore man, right? Same thing in Shadow and blah 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 blah. So Justice in this homage talks to a hell underscore Spawn in the same manner.
Okay.
There's some fair usage stuff and some parody stuff in there, and obviously I ain't dumb, so you know what I mean. I'm not going to open up my entire company to something that would be potentially super bad, but there are ways you can get around some of this stuff.
Hey, I got one of the images from Strong is her arm wrestling a man wearing a blue sleeve.
Yeah. See?
White man with a blue sleeve. He just happens to have a blue sleeve, people. She's stopping a punch from a man who just happens to have green skin. I don't know if the rest of his body is green, but at least his arm and his fist are.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool. I did think that was cool. Every time I see your artwork, I'm like, I think it's amazing. I can't remember, and I feel bad because I feel like I supported Nightfall or Justice, but I do so many Kickstarters, I lose track.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yours was during mine, and it's kind of hard for a broke man to support support somebody. So I was like, oh, I really want to. Let me just get him on my show. Like I'll get him on my show, and then we'll get some eyes on his thing. But your stuff always looks good. I mean, I love there's a real. I can see the influence from Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see it. It's a child. It's clearly a child of Spawn. There's definitely a Mark Silvestri feel to the artwork, which I appreciate. I don't know if they were going for that, but I can definitely see the Silvestri there, and a little bit of David Finch.
So when I met Fabio, he did a couple character sheets for me at first, right? But like I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, man, if he pulls off these character sheets the way I want them, like this is who I want for my series artist for as long as I can have him. And we ended up talking, and I'm a huge Michael Turner fan, like so bad that like when he passed, my mom called me, right? Like my mom has called me about Prince, she called me about Michael Jackson, and she called me about Michael Turner. Wow. Like when because those are big influences in my life. So when Fabio and I got to talking, and he knew about Michael Turner and Fathom, and he was inspired by him, and Silvestri, and even a little bit of McFarlane. Not so much McFarlane, more in tone than in actual, artistry or whatever. So when we got to talking about that, it was the perfect match, and we were able to really communicate what we wanted to get on screen. And that's another thing that I think about with
For those that
indie
don't know,
comics.
Michael Turner is the artist. He was the first artist on, I believe he was the first artist on Witchblade. And then he did Fathom, and I believe he passed from cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah.
But he was an amazing artist.
Super early.
Amazing
He was super dope.
It's ridiculous. It's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I can see that in the artwork. I can see that. I can see the influence in all the characters. Truth be told, you're definitely a child of the '90s. So
yeah,
I'm right here with you. Right. The only thing about the '90s that I didn't like is that the books were read so quickly.
Yeah, so
you just be
one
like,
of my favorite characters was like Prophet, right? Like I liked the way Prophet from Image looked. He looked so dope, and I have Prophet like 1 through 9 at this point.
Wow.
One, the story never really made sense, like ultimately, and like
dude,
you said,
I have known about Prophet my
like,
whole life,
what?
and I cannot tell you. And Jamari knows my memory for comics is very good. To this day, I can't tell you what Prophet was about. I knew he was a super soldier. I was like, okay, why does he have like a donut on his head? Like what? I don't. Yeah. I was just like, it's just one of those things I was not meant to know. I have bought Prophet books. That was back when I actually had like you could buy like you can go in a comic book store with like $20 and walk out with quite a few books. At
least 10, right? Like $2 a piece. At least 10 books. Yeah.
But Image was one of they really started jacking up the prices, and I know a lot of it had to do with the coloring.
Yeah, and then the holofoil covers and the cardboard at one point they did that event. I forget what the name of it was. They did that event with Valiant or whatever.
Oh, Death Watch.
Yeah.
Death Mate.
Death Mate. I had as a younger person, I think I'm getting the series, right? I ended up getting 4 of issue 1 because of the variant covers. You know what I mean? And like I was just too stupid or going too fast, whatever it was. So you know what? I kind of want my money back.
Glutton comics,
and it never finished. The event never finished.
No,
that was the other thing. Like you could start reading a book, like you would never get the end.
And
the series. They just stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel that way about Weapon Zero. Weapon Zero was a really underrated comic. Oh my God, who did that one? He does Lady Machina right now too. Lady Mechanica. God, I forget who does it, but he's a really great guy.
I don't remember Weapon Zero.
It was kind of dope, man. Weapon Zero was in the later days of comics, but it never finished.
I'll give you a 90s book that I liked that actually had good art and a pretty good story. Tell me if you remember this. Was it Team 7? Was it called Team 7?
Team 7, because they were the parents, or they were connected to Gen 13.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Was it called Team 7? I honestly want to say it was Team, because it had like Backlash and Grifter and Death Blow. The miniseries for that I thought was really good. Like
I thought it was great that they brought them together, because I remember the first kind of crossover they did with like Backlash and Grifter was Kindred or whatever.
I got that one too.
And then I was like, and then bringing it all kind of.
Shout out to Brett Booth. I love his art, man.
He's doing stuff on Spawn right now. He's doing a lot of the covers on Spawn, and they are just gorgeous. I think he just did the last one on King Spawn or whatever. Just gorgeous, man.
Yeah, I fell out of touch with a lot of the Image stuff. Like I keep an eye on what goes on with like Savage Dragon and what goes on with Spawn and all that. But honestly, the last Image book that I started collecting Radiant Black.
That's kind of a hot button right now, man.
Really?
Radiant Black has been so I saw a couple things. Obviously it's gained some steam and stuff, but then there were some media outlets really talking like heavily about it, and so I guess certain people were led to believe that it was like a Black creative team and a Black creator. And
really?
Yes, Benitez, Brad Arnie.
Oh, man, you know what? Weapon Zero. I just saw Joe Benitez. That's his name. I saw the cover as soon as I saw the name, and Okay, I
Yeah,
bought that
yeah.
too. I bought
Weapon
that
Zero was
too.
dope, but then it ended really, really quickly. Like I think it's
Yeah.
either 12 or 14 issues. They had to end it all in like
Uh,
2 issues, and they weren't ready for that. But it was
so
dope
they
up until that point.
so they thought Radiant Black was done by a
But
black creator.
yeah. Because some of the media outlets have been talking about it, and on and on and on, and some people have been confused uh, by it with regard to
Really?
that. And I feel like those are the people who really, obviously, they hadn't read the comic, they didn't know. They were just kind of getting put onto it now.
Right.
Because he also had the animation that came out
I just watched
for
that.
it.
I just watched like a piece of it before I came on the show.
Yeah. I have to watch the whole thing because I saw the
Yeah, I
little
haven't
trailer
either.
clip, the
Yeah.
teaser, and I was like,
Yep.
"Is this it?" And then I saw at the end, it was like, "Nah, go see the
Right.
rest of it on YouTube." I was like, "Okay, cool," because I was like, "If this is it, don't really
So,
move me," you know?
right. So you said you guys are trying to do stuff in animation?
Yes, we are. Again, we're a multifaceted company. I feel like every creator that's on here is always like, "Oh man, I got 200 characters and I can do 3,000 things," and they want to do that like day one, and that's always been a mistake to me.
Right.
We've set a base up for Wingless Comics in general, and again, Wingless Comics will go in perpetuity because of how we set that base up. So we're already good there. So now, personally, I do want to kind of venture off into some other things, but there are other things that I built up to, right? And I'm
Right.
going to continue building up to. It's not going to come out of out the gate. I'm developing a series, an animated series called Magnificent. It's
I saw that.
a steampunk world,
Okay.
cowboy infused, steampunk kind of world. We follow the adventures of a guy called Smiling Jack, and he's going to run afoul of a number of things. I love westerns, and I don't think that again, I don't think black people get enough credit in terms of the western expansion in general. Even
It's
going from like being called cowhands and then cowboy, you know what I mean, because of the black people, and just on and on and on. So I want to explore that, and I think I can do it in a very different and expansive way, bringing in the steampunk elements to it. We got again a whole cast of characters, the whole deal. So that's definitely in production right now. We were
Okay.
very successful with Nightfall 1 through 5, so we are looking to expand that into some arcade game and video game type properties, which also, all this development stuff takes a little bit of time, but it's the direction we're
Money
moving.
too.
Exactly, while continuing to do what we're doing with Wingless Comics. Like I said, Wingless Comics is now a machine. It creates itself. So now is the time to start this next one so it can create itself, and then the next one so it can create itself.
Now, from a business, Jamari, I'm going to ask my question, and I'm going to shoot over to you. I just don't want to forget my question, and it leads directly from what you're saying. From a business point of view, your business model is you for every issue you do, it's a Kickstarter, or every series you do is a Kickstarter.
So every issue is a Kickstarter, but they are all pre-order campaigns, right? So for Justice #1, that was already produced and done. So what we do is a pre-order campaign. So we take care of shipping and printing and shipping. And again, so that's the next. So off of that one, #2 is already done and the same, and #3 is already done and paid for and the same. And that's how all of them go so far. Now, again, we're going into animation and video games. It's going to be a little bit different tech wise, depending on how much money we raise and what we do. But that's the basic model. I always want to have the product for people as opposed to begging people so that I can finish the product. Only thing we did that kind of with is Nightfall #5. Nightfall #5 shipped with #4, so the production time took more because we were finishing #4 as we started the campaign for #4 and
Right.
5. So we needed to finish #5 so then we can ship it to everybody. But it's already paid for as well.
Right.
It's just a timing thing at that point.
All right, Jamari.
Did I hear a little more anime influence in some of the naming of that series, that steampunk series you were talking about, particularly the Smiling Jack stuff?
100%, 100%. So when I first, years and years ago, 10 years ago, when I had the idea or whatever, when it was still not what it is today, I was like, oh, I want to call it Americanime or Blandime. And this is before like the internet got popping. So like Blandime is something that a bunch of us have said at this point. But I hate what they did to Boondocks, and not the cartoon itself, right? Well, okay, sorry, let me say this a couple different ways. Season 4, Boondocks sucked. Once Aaron Magruder left, the show was horrible, right? Like
I ain't
season
even
4,
watch
I
it.
did not laugh. I watched 4 episodes of it, and I did not laugh one time in 4 episodes. Bro, that's an hour and a half of my life I ain't never gonna get back, right? So I'm already mad. But what they did in terms of how they treat Boondocks sucks, because I get that it was made in America, but bro, that's an anime. You know what I mean? And people still try to deny it. And on the large scale, no, it's not, because it wasn't made in Japan. There's a bunch of stuff that ain't made in Japan that we still call anime. Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are produced in Korea that we call anime. So I always hated that, but I always wanted to do one. I love Trigun, so let's get that out there as well, right? Trigun is dope as
That's a
hell.
name I haven't heard in ages.
Hey, it's coming back, man. They're doing a new series.
I know.
So I love Trigun. I love anime. I grew up on Robotech. You know, we talked about Voltron, even though, you know, that's more Americanized than anything. But I've always just American cartoons, in my opinion, are not good fodder for the type of story I want to tell. American cartoons have, you know, they thrive. The Steven Universe has done a really good job. Adventure Time has done a really good job. Danny's gonna love this. Teen Titans Go has been successful. It's not better than regular Teen Titans, but it's been very successful. But there are certain types of cartoons now that do really well in America. Serialized comics have statistically never done really, really well in America. They've always done really better with Japanese influences, even if they are in America. So, yeah, I want some of those sensibilities in terms of being able to serialize this story. And yeah, how they're named. Yes, Smiling Jack. Is there a little bit of anime influence there? Yes. Is there also 1930s, 40s mobster influence? Yeah, all these Western influence. Yeah, there's all these different little elements I want to add to it, because again, there are a lot of stories that we can tell, but the stories we're quote unquote allowed to tell, it gets real narrow. It gets real thin. And I don't want that, right? Like, I'm going to do this my way.
You might be the first person that I can remember that we've interviewed that has mentioned steampunk, a black creator doing steampunk. That sticks out to me. So that's like, I'm already rooting for that. And you've got the Western influence and all of those things. It all puts together very well. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to look like.
I appreciate it. I'm a big fan. I don't know, it's maybe me and 7 other people out there, but I also love Wild Wild West with Will Smith. It's a bad movie, but I love it. It's a bad
movie
like,
it's a bad movie,
but you love it. Hey, I can't knock
absolutely.
it. You
know?
made a great point earlier. It's a bad movie. Don't say it on top 5. Don't bring it up on top 5 live.
No,
and make it a good movie. Like if you took the base of that movie, there's a good movie in there, but they just execute it so poorly.
Right. So the problem with Wild Wild West, real quickly, is Barry Sonnenfeld, and that's not to say that he's a bad director, right? But that is his version of James Bond-esque things. He had a little short-lived show called it was like Danger Man or whatever. No, Secret Agent Man. It was on UPN. I think it only did the pilot or whatever. But it was very much the same as Wild Wild West, because that's how he's more of a get smart guy than James Bond, not realizing or remembering that like the Wild Wild West, the show was James Bond and not Get Smart. You know what I mean? Right. And so that makes a big difference in how it plays out.
Oh no, that there's a huge difference between one. Literally, Get Smart is the parody of James Bond. So yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate you telling different stories. Like a lot of people when they get into comics, it's almost like, well, I got to do a superhero. Even myself, it's almost like, hey, I got to do a superhero. And it's almost like it becomes like a superhero ghetto. Like everybody got a superhero, and this comics are there. You can just do so much more with it. And I appreciate a creator coming in and saying, "Look, man, I don't necessarily need to have a dude in spandex and the secret identity and everything. Like there's a whole world of stories that we can do, especially like a Black creator. Which is why I've always appreciated like you made the point of you pointed out Tuskegee, the Tuskegee Heirs. Like, I mean, it's superhero-ish, but it's not. It's an adventure book, you know.
Bro, when Tuskegee Heirs, when you get to page, it's like page 14 or whatever, and it's mechs. Bro, I was not expecting that. I thought it was gonna be like future planes, right? Like I was like, okay, space planes. I'm good.
I was like, hold up,
And then they
somebody was reading
transform.
Robotech?
Yeah, right. I was like, but again, we don't. Even in popular media, right? In movies and films, and we talk about it all the time on different things. We get slave movies, we get drug dealer movies, we get gang movies, we get sports movies. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. No, are we good at sports? Yes. Actually, are we good at stealing drugs? Yes. Frankly, we're entrepreneurs. Okay, like. Did we have to go through slavery? Yes. I don't want to talk about that all the time, right? Like, I don't want that to be the thing all the time. It can be a thing, and there are people who do it really, really well, and I'm not gonna shit on them for it. I hope I can say that here, but I'm not going to.
You good.
But I don't want to do that, right? Like, I don't want to be. I want to do fantasy epics, right? Like, I want to do these big war stories. I want to write the Iliad just from a Black perspective, right? Like, I want to do Wild Wild West. Again, this anime that I'm going to do, it started with an idea I had. I just wanted to do something Western. And then after Wild Wild West, look, I low-key wrote like a Wild Wild West Part 2. And I was like, oh, they can adapt this to what I want to do, right? So these are ideas that, again, that we're not normally kind of allowed to have. We're allowed to have the ideas, right? But we're not allowed to produce them and take them to fruition. As we've talked about with self-publishing and everything else, I don't have to stop because somebody else told me to. Like, right? So even if I have to do it a minute at a time in animation, you know what I mean? And it takes me, 22 minutes. It takes me 11 years to do it. Okay, cool. Because at the end of these 11 years, I'm going to have the thing that I wanted. Right. And like you said, I can look back, and if one person sees it, right? Or if one child is like, oh, I do that too, let me go into this. Or they can see something different, then I'm all about it. I don't care what all the other things were. It's ultimately worth it to see us as kings, to see us as cowboys, to see us as rascals. It's weird because there are a lot of these different words that we use for people or characters, but they're never attributed to Black people. I don't know if I've ever heard of a Black person being a rascal outside of like Farina in the Little Rascals. I don't, you know what I mean? You're never gonna hear a Black person be a rapscallion. You know what I mean? There are these things that we attribute to characters, and it gives them these character traits, but we're not allowed to have that. We've got to be grungy or grimy or blah blah blah, all the harsher ones. So even when I'm talking about Justice and Justice being a hero, he's a hero, but he's not necessarily a superhero, right? But nor is it Christian, like a Christian conversion pamphlet, right? No more than Spawn is. It's dealing with these themes of light and dark, heaven and hell, blah 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 blah. But it's not for me to put a religion over on anybody or to do that part of it. It's for me to tell stories from points of view that we aren't historically allowed to. And that's important.
The themes, the themes that we don't always get to play with, or I can't tell you how many times I was told I wasn't supposed to listen to a certain kind of music, or I'm not supposed to be a fan of a certain kind of thing. And one of the things that always gets brought up, you see people at conventions and somebody makes a comment that, oh, the black people are supposed to cosplay this character, and that's the kind of thing. I'm glad that people like yourself get to play with different themes. Like did you see the show Lupin that was on Netflix?
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
I haven't finished
that would be
yet,
what you're talking about, the whole idea of the scoundrel. You don't see Black characters get to play like that, playfully roguish kind of dudes.
Yeah.
I apologize for stepping out. I had to take care of my son. But we good.
Oh, no, you're good, bro. No worries. There are a lot of things that we don't get to do, right? Like, we do, but on the larger scale, we are not allowed to do. And that's harsh, right? Like you said, people cosplaying, oh, Black people can't cosplay this character. Meanwhile, his name is Ichigo, but you got a bunch of white people doing it, right? Like, that don't make no sense. Kirito, right? But you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, but there are all these roadblocks that we have to continually deal with. Okay, they suck, but at the same time, we don't have to stop there. And I love, you get people like Cutie Pie Sensei, you get Fantastic Frankie, you get you guys, you get Danny Quit, you know what I mean? Like, all these people in this community that is, kind of branched off, but also we're 99% of the time we're aware of each other, or if we don't, we got 2 degrees of separation, you know what I mean? And we're starting to strengthen that part of it. I'm also glad that while I cheer their success, right, I'm glad that people are starting to see that there are more comics and more creators out there than just Black Sans. Again, I cheer their success. They've done what they do. and that part is great. But when it became myopic for a while, right, and they were like, oh, it's got to be them and only them, that's just as damaging to a creator like yourself, creator like myself as well, because there is this wide breadth of things that we are capable of doing and capable of showing people. And I think that that's one of the bigger parts of saying that, like, this world that they want to be small is not small. We're literally creating worlds. So we're gonna make it as big as we want it to be. And we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny you point out about the black dancing. It's almost like the music industry, right? Like the music industry, sometimes it feels like they only allow for like one type of person. And then when that person becomes big, we're not going back and finding more people different or similar. We just gonna focus on that one person. Yeah, you know, and comic industry is very similar. It's and I'm glad, as you said, I'm glad to see, and I'm always shouting out the same people or different creators, because you know if we ain't gonna shout ourselves out, who else is gonna do it? So
exactly.
I am happy for your success, and I'm glad to see, you know, things are rolling. I'm still waiting for my invite, you know, for Heat, but we gonna get a Heat Justice crossover. We gonna do something. I keep saying I want to do. You know, I'm so terrible. I'm, you know, I do all the work for me. So like, for me to like stop doing this and then do this, like I be wanting to do crossovers with everybody, man. So I told Danny, and I'm gonna give it to him, that I'm gonna do crossover like alternate covers. So if you want an alternate cover, holla at me. We could do a crossover alternate cover. That'll hold folks over for now. But I do.
Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm very happy. I see, you know, your posts and like you killed it with Kickstarter. You were like funded in like it was like quick fast, wasn't it? It was super fast.
Yeah. We did it in I think it was like 2 hours.
Yeah, like that was crazy.
Yeah. It was awesome. We got some really speaking of which, I want to shout out the Cornishes. They are some indie comic supporters. They obviously supported us. They've been just really, really great. A lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, which is awesome. Crossovers. Okay, I love crossovers. I definitely, at one point in my life, I want to be called like the crossover guy, the guy who writes dope crossovers. But they're what? I'm already spending my money. Oh, Brad, man, I know Brad's gonna support anything we do, man. He's one of the staunchest supporters out there, right? Like, yeah. And I appreciate it, man. You know, Brad, you have no idea what that does for us, right? You know what I mean? Crossovers are a cautionary tale. And I saw a post in a group the other day that was, you know, one of those regular, like, why don't we come together and make a new image kind of thing. And not that I'm opposed to that, but so much work goes into creating a structure, right? Even if you're doing it on your own. So now we got other people that we want to bring into that structure. So who gets the funds? How do we allocate the promo? There are just so many little things. And Nightfall was definitely an experience, a learning experience for me, but one of the most beneficial in my life. I love Nightfall. I'm glad I was able to do what I was able to do with it, and even bring in some of the creators. Obviously, like yourself, I missed a couple people, and I couldn't get everybody's cameos in there.
I'm just messing with you.
You know, so I do have a couple people that were actually a little butthurt, but then I was like, but what? But you never asked, you know. So it's like a little weird.
Well, you know how it is when something is like, before something becomes successful, nobody say nothing, and then when it becomes successful, then they want to be like, I need to get on. So you know how it is. It's funny that you brought up the everybody coming together, because for like 2 days, I tried to put together like logistically to do like one big like company. Like how would we do it? You know, like I was thinking like, well, I'd bring in Danny Morgan from Fourth Wall and everything like that. We could do our own image. And you're right, like the logistics of it was like a pain in the butt, because somebody invariably has to take point and essentially make sure everything runs. And then it becomes a matter of, well, who's that person? And then it becomes so I did, trust me, I did the logic behind it.
Also, and I've thought about it for a long time, right? But people won't say this part. Money is a major issue. People forget that image was underwritten, right? Underwriting is huge. So then you could have all those creatives just go in and do their books. Now, if we're talking about me, you, Danny, Morgan, we all get funding from the same source.
Yeah.
So, oh, hey, if everybody brings in $100, then we got, $100,000. No, we don't. We have 100 different people who want to do 100 different things with $100 in their pocket. Because why? What makes your project more valid than mine? What makes it so I have to give up my $100 to you? And it's not that's not a competition thing. That's a movement thing. That's a progress thing. That is a marketing thing. That is a promotion thing, right? And so people won't take that into account. They just think if we all pool 100, if it's 100 of us and we all pool $100, then we have $10,000. We can do something. No.
So what you're saying is the only way that's really going to work is if you guys can find like a RZA who can look to everybody and is like, look, you give me X amount of time and this is where I want to take us. And that's the only
either that or somebody gets independently wealthy.
That's what I'm saying. So because even that, right? Like even like if we're talking about RZA, we're talking about Common, we're talking about Kanye, we're talking about Master P, a lot of these guys, right? We're talking about Jay. Where did that money come from? That initial startup money, right? Because none of them, even though they were broke, right? None of them, even Wu-Tang, they were broke and they came together. But where did they get the money to do the demos and you know what I mean? Like we all know. And I'm not trying to say it, right? Because we all know, but that's a factor because that's still underwriting money, right?
Yeah.
But again, we don't talk about it like it's like that because it's not like it's not a Wall Street investment, but that's an investment and they had to pay that investment back, right? So again, if we had some angel investor that's going, look, if we had an angel investor that tomorrow gave me $100,000, it'd be quite a few people would have their comic books up and running in a form where they would be self-perpetuating for a while.
Right.
But we don't have that, right? Yeah. Like we don't necessarily have that. And that, again, I feel like sometimes that's an even bigger part than all the other stuff. Underwriting, right? Because if you have a dollar amount, then you know how many dollars you can invest in each piece and who has to be paid what and what we've got to do. We don't have that. We don't have that structure in independent comics. Like I wish we would. We just don't.
But I mean, I think it's okay to have everybody kind of doing their own thing. I mean, it's always nice to think about, well, if we all came together, we'd probably make a lot more noise. But, when you listen and you hear some of the stories that the Image guys dealt with and all that other stuff, like, man, I can tell you some of the stuff that I like. If you, Jamari, I don't know if you've gone and tried this, but on Amazon, I think it's Amazon Prime, they have the Image story. I believe it's Amazon Prime. Just watch it. Like friendships were destroyed, a whole bunch of stuff. And frankly, I enjoy my
autonomy.
Not so much my autonomy, but my relationships with other independents, and I think that relationship can be maintained because Brian can do his thing, Danny and Morgan do their thing, and they don't have to worry about what I'm doing to do their thing. They don't have to worry about, well, Javon's book is taking too long to come out, and we're all under the whatever umbrella, and it's making our stuff look bad. Like they don't have to worry about that. They can just focus on their thing and their thing alone. Brian doesn't have to worry about me taking so long with my book, and I'm using me because I take a long time with my books. He doesn't have to worry about me. So like that. Whereas like with Image, if you know anything about the story, the Image brand started to take a hit because a lot of the extreme studio stuff started taking a long time to come out. A lot of projects would be announced and just not show up.
Never show up.
Like it. So as much as I think it's a great idea, and like you said, if we had just a magnificent angel investor that was like, "Yo, I got $1 million for y'all, let's do it," that would change my mind.
Whole different subject then.
Yeah, without an angel investor or somebody dropping significant money, and it would have to be money under good terms too. Because money, all money ain't free money. So
exactly.
But I can see the value of us being our own entities. Because a lot of us are doing independent stuff because we don't want bosses telling us what type of stories we can do. You know what I mean? Like just keep it real. Like ain't nobody gonna tell me what type of Heat story to do. So if you tell me, if Danny comes to me and is like, hey man, I don't like that story that you're doing for Heat because it makes the brand look bad and everything, I might look Danny in the eye and be like, you should keep walking, bro. Like, I mean, you know, so
yeah. Look,
well,
I
got some notes on Heat that I wanted to give you, some things you might want to change up, completely, you know, do away with.
That'd be the last conversation we have. I tell you right now.
I've had people obviously look. We see what characters I had in Justice issue 3, right? Just in the preview, I had a couple people hit me in my inbox. I don't think you should do that. Oh, okay. I don't think that we should sell electricity. You know what I'm saying? When it's raining, I don't know. Like, who cares?
I don't think he should have sent his email.
Yeah, exactly.
But here we are.
But people do that, right? And like you said, I agree. And don't get me wrong, I have people that they don't necessarily work for me, but they work under the Wingless banner and editor-in-chief, blah, 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 blah. But it's communicative, one. And I had to have enough pitfalls with people who we tried to work together. It didn't work in order for me to have the cohesive team that I do now. And that don't happen overnight. People act like we would, oh, yeah, we just all come together. It's going to be kumbaya. Nah, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. Look, it's some of the people in the community, right? That, again, if I'm editor of anything and I see it, I'm going to be like, nah. Like, it's just not good enough. What's wrong with the art? Doesn't look good enough. Like, this thing in the story doesn't make sense. No, you can keep writing it, but grammatically it doesn't make sense. Story-wise, it doesn't make sense. Change it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody want to hear that from me unless they want to hear that from me, and then they're like, hey, can I be part of Wingless?
Right.
But if we do this whole conglomerate super quickly, come on, bro, I'm a bounce. Because if I think you're making the brand look stupid or making me look stupid by proxy, I'm out.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just so many logistics that go involved with it. It would have to be something different because, like you said, that happened with Image. It happened. Mm-hmm. It's happened with so many other comic companies that pop up. Like it's really hard to do. The fact that Image is lasted 30 plus years. I think it's like, is it 30 or 30 plus years? Almost 40 years now.
It's 30 plus. Yeah,
30 plus years. 30 plus years. The fact that they're like 30 plus years is like a testament to the fact that they got beat around a lot. Their reputation. Their reputation took some hits. But anyway, I gotta steer control of this.
We could do this all day, right?
I know, I really do. Is that her? Hold on. Is that her book coming out anytime soon?
Yeah, we are looking at. So Immortalis is going to launch in mid-August. So October is looking like. We try to put a month in between Kickstarters because if we start in the middle of August, we don't end until the middle of September.
Right.
So we need at least like 2 weeks before we start the new one. So it's looking like October.
Okay. All right. So I know you don't have a ton of time, but you watch the show. At the end of the show, I always got to do it. Pay homage to my top 5 brethren. And I give everybody has to do a top 5 list of their own. And I give a topic. This one is specifically for you. Ready? Ready for it?
Yeah. I don't know if I am, but I'm a brave the course.
Here we go. Top 5 comic book crossovers. All time.
Ooh, top 5. Oh, okay. Immediately Executioner Song.
Okay, that's
that one made Nightfall. Like that was one that it just blew my mind.
I just reread that like a week ago.
So we were talking about a Mutant Genesis, and that one they stay on my table. I love it. I take writing cues from Executioner Song, not necessarily formatting.
Right.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
That was a must. The Phalanx Covenant.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that one. Okay.
Ooh. It's kind of difficult because I like a lot of them, man. Marvel versus DC.
Okay.
Can I do actually? Can I that one? Because could I say both Marvel versus DC books? Because we had the one, the '80s one, or whatever, and then you had the like the '90s one.
You talking about? There was no '80s one. They had different ones in the '80s.
They okay. So I read that one as a compendium, right? So it was like
Okay. Yeah, that was
the
like
Spider-Man,
different ones.
Superman one,
Yep.
the X-Men, blah blah blah.
That wasn't
Okay,
one whole series. It was just like one
okay,
here and then
yeah,
one there.
okay. So
Mark,
I read that one
yeah,
as an older person,
got
not
you.
older, but like 16, 17. I read it as a compendium, so I only knew it, kind of that way. But okay, Marvel versus DC, I think that was great.
All right, that's
For what it
four.
did,
One more.
it's kind of lame, but it was cool. That was
Nah,
cool.
I got you. I feel you.
And ooh,
Sorry for the dog. Yeah. You got one more. Can you hear me? Oh, can't hear you. We lost the audio. Can you guys hear Jamari? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. We lost you, man.
Yeah, I think he might be having some signal
Some
issues.
technical issues.
Yeah.
All right. While you figure out your sound, Jamari, you have your 5?
I only have 2.
Okay, give me a 2.
One of them I don't even know if it counts. Old school Superman versus Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
That's like one of the first times I'd ever seen something that wild. I was like, this exists.
Okay.
So I have I have an old reprint of that. Then
hold on, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
He's still
We can't hear you. Hold on. I can't hear you. Can we hear you? Nope.
Not still out.
We can't hear you. I don't know what happened. Look, your connection looks okay, but I don't know what's going on, man. Your sound just dropped.
Mm-hmm.
All right, his Wi-Fi connection just dropped, dude. Your connection just dropped. All right, go ahead. Muhammad Ali, Superman, number 2.
And I will always forever love Transformers G.I. Joe.
Okay.
That because how the writers flipped the script on that was why I always love that. And then there's certain things I don't even know if they constitute as a crossover, but it is what it is. What are yours?
Oh man, top 5. Well, Crisis. Got to do Crisis on Infinite Earths. I got to do that. Oh Jesus, Secret Wars. Just because,
it's iconic.
War, yeah, it's iconic. So if I'm talking best, those 2 got to be in there. I probably have to go Executioner Song too. I loved Executioner Song, man. Executioner Song is it's the one where Professor Xavier gets shot in the head by somebody that looks like Cable. I would definitely. It's very like dramatic and hold on, let's see if we get him. We got you.
Am I back now?
Okay, there we go. There you go.
Oh,
all
okay.
right.
Yeah. I think my phone was just
sounds off, but we can hear you.
Too much streaming.
That's all right. Give me your last one. You had 4. What's the last one?
The Phoenix Saga.
That's not a crossover.
I was gonna say, does that count?
That's not a crossover. Who do they cross over with?
X Factor, X-Men. Nah, that was
no.
Okay, well, fine. Then I'm gonna go Extinction Agenda, which that did cross over with New Mutants, X-Men, blah blah blah.
All right.
Would you consider Hush a crossover?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So I was doing my 5. Nah, the Hush is not a crossover. That's not.
Yeah, they only had that Superman cameo.
Yeah.
That don't really count.
Okay.
So I had Crisis. I had Secret War, or Secret Wars, whichever. What did I say? I said Executioner Song. I'm right there. Like that to me was like peak X-Men at the time. Like,
Yeah.
Drama, intrigues, mysteries, all that. Yeah, I remember reading. They had like almost every villain. Like I remember reading that they were Magneto was supposed to show up too, and I was like, damn, like I was throwing everything. Okay, so that's 3. I'm looking at my books, like trying to remember. Let me think. This is tough. I'm gonna go Avengers versus JLA.
Ooh.
Number 4.
Okay.
That George Perez artwork, Kurt Busiek on writing. It was fun.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with that crossover, is that in no sense, no shape, form, or fashion should Superman be beating Thor. That's it. Nope. Sorry. I will argue this till I die.
I agree with you, but just don't go over on TikTok and say that, man.
Bro, I say that anyway. I got no problem. I want all the smoke. Dang, number 5, my last one. Okay. This one might be a little bit shocking, but I'm going to say X-Men Mutant Messiah or Messiah Complex. I like that one. I like it because
that's a solid entry.
Yeah, I like it because of what it does for Cyclops. Because I'm a Cyclops fan, so like that one. Dang, but that was tough, man. That top 5 was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. I'm like sitting here going over all the like.
Why didn't either one of you say Archie versus Archie and the Punisher? Come on,
we have common sense. We got common sense. That's why. I'm trying to think. There are quite a few. I can look over and probably see quite a few books. Hold on.
So Brian, let me ask you this one then.
Okay, I'm back.
What would be your dream anime crossover?
Oh, anime crossover? Oh,
anime, manga,
that is
whatever.
A little hard. But which I have an idea for myself, right? But I want to see like Berserk versus Gundam. You know what I mean? Like that real dark magic kind of infused sword and sorcery with some mechs in it.
I feel like that's Escaflowne without the romance. Okay.
Yeah, you might be right, actually.
I got nothing. I am. I'm kind of. That's a key. I'm gonna throw that to some of my friends and see what their brains say. I want to see if their brains freeze up on that.
Yeah.
I got nothing for anime, man.
I got to get in when I can.
I try, man. I really try. You guys really don't understand. I've tried watching anime. I've tried reading anime. It just never clicks for me, man. I feel
like you're reading the wrong. I feel like you're watching the wrong ones because I feel like there are a lot of pitfalls that are great anime, but they're not introductory anime. Like people are like, watch One Piece. No, don't watch One Piece. No,
I've never
because
seen
it's not a good introductory anime.
All right, give me an introduction. All right, before we got 2 minutes, give me if you're saying, hey, I think you will like this anime. This is the anime to introduce to you.
You gotta do stuff like Sword Art Online, Akame ga Kill.
He's not gonna like Sword Art Online. I already know.
So again, I don't know his style, right? But it's got to be the quick, kind of punchy ones. Fire Force is dope. I think anybody could like Fire Force. I wouldn't say My Hero. Well, okay, I wouldn't do first season My Hero. You got to do like second, third season My Hero. It's got to be the quick stuff.
About My Hero Academia.
As dope. Yeah.
My daughters read that. Like they love it.
My Hero is dope. But again, the first season starts out a certain way, and it's not like real punchy, real actiony, but it gets there. Again, there, Lupin the Third, man. I like Lupin the Third Part 4, I think it is. That one's like an 80s cartoon kind of, but it's got some intrigue in there and stuff too. Trigun is again a dope one. What else?
I think at some at some point I'm going to read and animate whatever it is from start to finish. Just so I
I'd
can
have to sit
say
down and
I
think
did.
about a good one for you, because I'm trying to think about what I know of your taste and everything. I'm going through like a lot of popular stuff. I would not put you on. I would not put you on. I'd have to go a little more obscure if I was gonna have you sit down, and I'd have you watch something limited run, one season maybe to start with,
Yeah.
and we're only doing 10 episodes, 12 episodes tops. I would not
All right.
pick like traditionally popular stuff for you.
All right. So we run out of time. We try and cut it off at this time every time. I have enjoyed this conversation. We definitely got to do it
Me as
again.
well.
We got to get you on again. You know, you always got projects coming out, so you know, just holler at me about coming on. And
Likewise, because we got to get you on ICD as well.
I'm always here, man. Trust me. Just let me know, man. Holler at me. But
Okay.
yeah, you know, it's been fun. You know, we'll have you back because we still have to finish our 80s, 90s cartoon conversation.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
all of those things. Yeah, all of that good stuff there.
For all you guys that are interested in any of the products that we talked about, anything from Wingless Entertainment, that little scrolling bar down there, if you haven't been paying attention, that's actually a website address. Try and go on it. You will enjoy, and if the scrolling is bothering you that much, I help you out and just do this there. So there you go. Wingless Entertainment, winglessent.com. Check it out, because once I put this down into audio, folks can't see this. So winglessent.com. We once again, this has been fun. You and I have we've interacted so much on Facebook that I'd be thinking that we've talked before, but we didn't. So it's nice to actually get a face and a voice to put with the ever so creative opinions. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody who stopped in, who posted in the chat, who shared this, who did anything. And please come back next week. We have Chef CT Smith. He's going to talk about some good food and have some good conversation. And as always, we appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, everyone. Oh, have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend.
Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Eat food, be safe. Take care, guys.